Ever had one of those TAs, the ones who just made you excited to actually go to class?
Oh, absolutely. The
Yeah,
ones who really bring the material to life.
exactly. That's what we're diving into today, what actually makes a great university teaching assistant. You've mentioned being curious about this whole TA thing, so today we're going to go deeper than just like the basic job description.
Love it. Getting into the nitty-gritty.
Right. And to guide our deep dive today, we're tapping into insights from RoleCatcher. They're mostly known for their whole career advice platform, but what's really interesting is they use AI to analyze job applications.
Yeah, that's their thing. They'll break down what works, what doesn't. It's pretty cool.
It's like getting a secret pass, right?
Yeah,
Behind the scenes of how hiring decisions are made.
exactly.
Okay, so before we get into all that, let's establish like a baseline understanding. How does RoleCatcher actually define the role of a university teaching assistant?
So they describe it as like a temporary position at a university or college. And it's usually filled by, grad students or those who just graduated.
Makes sense.
But the key word here, I think, is support. They emphasize that a lot. It's all about assisting the main instructor, not like being the one running the show solo right
Wow.
away.
Yeah, that's important to remember. I can definitely see how some people might get the wrong idea and think, oh, I'm going to be a TA. I'm basically the professor now.
Right, exactly. And that temporary part is crucial too, because it feeds into this idea that being a TA is kind of like a stepping stone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's a way to get amazing experience, but you're also still learning yourself. It's a two-way street.
definitely. And speaking of those next steps, after being a TA, it's not always what you'd expect, right? Like, I was looking at RoleCatcher's guide, and of course, becoming a professor is the obvious path, but they also mentioned corporate training.
Oh, totally. I see that more and more. Those teaching skills actually translate really well into training environments.
Interesting. So it's not just about academia, it's about honing those core skills.
Right. And universities are feeling the pressure to deliver a top-notch education, so skilled TAs. More valuable than ever.
It's a competitive world out there, even in the hallowed halls of academia.
Absolutely. And that's where understanding like those different stages of a TA's career and how your skills fit in can really make a difference.
Okay, so we've established it's competitive, it's a stepping stone, but what about the day-to-day stuff? What does a TA actually do? I'm guessing it's more than just, grading endless stacks of papers.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, grading's a big part of it. Nobody's going to lie about that.
Yeah.
But RoleCatcher, they paint this more, I don't know, nuanced picture.
Yeah.
Like imagine yourself leading a review session
Yeah.
and you're explaining some complex concept and you see that aha moment click for a student.
Yeah.
Those are the moments that make it all worthwhile. It's about more than just marking right or wrong.
Right. It's about making those connections. And I'd imagine those responsibilities probably change quite a bit as you go through these different career stages that RoleCatcher talks about, right?
100%. They
Mhm.
really break it down. And it's actually quite a progression.
So what does that look like in practice? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, so RoleCatcher, they lay out this kind of progression. And it's almost like, when you level up in a video game, it's like that. But instead of getting more magic points or whatever, you're gaining more responsibility. You're getting influence.
Okay. I like where this is going. So walk me through those levels. Like what's level 1 TA look like?
Okay, so level 1, you're the reliable side chick, right? You're prepping materials for the lead instructor. You're doing the grading.
Yeah.
You're holding those review sessions we talked about, making sure everybody's on track. Really important groundwork.
Got it. Got it.
But then you get a bit more experience under your belt. You move into this more collaborative role, almost like, a junior partner.
So instead of just grading what's on the test, you might actually be helping to write the test.
Yeah. Exactly. You could be developing course materials. Maybe you're leading tutorials. Maybe you're even doing a guest lecture here or there. And that's just mid-level.
Wow.
You reach senior TA status. You're basically the TA team lead. You're the one implementing new teaching methods. You're mentoring the newer TAs. You're really like shaping the educational experience for everyone.
That's amazing. It's crazy to think about how much you can actually do, for a position that's supposed to be temporary. It's like you can really leave a mark, not just on students, but on the whole department.
Yeah, it's about building a legacy, even if you're only there for a couple semesters. And RoleCatcher, they even give you examples of like how each stage might look on a resume, which I thought was interesting.
That's smart.
So like if you're entry level, you'd highlight a strong academic background, your experience assisting professors, that kind of thing. But senior level, You might have like published research. Maybe you've presented at a conference.
Mhm.
Maybe you collaborated on the actual course design.
It goes from helped out to spearheaded this whole initiative, which
Yeah.
probably feels pretty good to be able to write that on your resume.
Right.
Okay, but speaking of qualifications, beyond the actual experience itself, what does RoleCatcher say are like the must-haves? The knowledge areas aspiring TAs need to have locked down.
Well, obviously, you need a deep understanding of your subject matter, like that's a given.
Mhm.
But they emphasize something called pedagogical knowledge, which sounds way more intimidating than it actually is.
Pedagogy. Why does that make me think of
I
dinosaurs?
don't know.
But okay, seriously though, break that down. What is that for people like me who haven't been in a classroom for a hot minute?
Basically, it's like the how of teaching.
Mm,
Like, you can know a subject backwards and forwards, but that doesn't mean you can teach it.
right, makes sense.
So pedagogy is all about, like, understanding how people learn best, knowing different teaching methods, being able to actually make the material interesting and engaging for the students.
So it's like I might be like a whiz at organic chemistry,
Right.
but can I explain it to someone who's seeing it for the first time? That's where the pedagogy comes in.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher, they even give some tips on how to actually develop that skill set, like attending workshops on teaching and learning,
Yeah.
university development programs, even just like subscribing to education journals or blogs. It's
Yeah.
about always being curious about like the craft of teaching itself.
Oh, interesting. So it's like you're always a student yourself. I like it. But
Yeah.
it does make sense, right? If you've got the degree, you've got the passion for your subject, but there's this whole other set of skills to master on top of that. No wonder it's so competitive to even get your foot in the door.
And that's where, we were talking about RoleCatcher's AI.
Hmm.
This is where it gets even cooler, I think.
Okay, hit me.
Because they don't just tell you what skills you should have. Their AI can analyze a job description and actually tell you if your resume is showcasing those skills effectively.
Wait, hold on. So, like, let's say a job posting is like, must have experience with online learning platforms, but my resume just says proficient in technology.
Right, exactly. Their AI might flag that and be like, it's not quite specific enough, because they're not just looking for like keywords, they're looking for evidence.
Mm.
It's almost like having a second set of eyes, but these eyes are trained specifically on what hiring committees care about.
Okay, yeah, now I see the appeal. Like it's actually showing you what's going on behind the curtain. But let's say you've used the AI, you've got the skills, you've tailored your resume, and you actually land an interview. What then? What kind of like curveball questions should someone expect in a TA interview?
Oh, let me tell you, it's not enough to just like recite the textbook from memory. RoleCatcher, they've got this whole library of potential interview questions, and some of them really make you think on your feet.
Oh, I bet. So what are we talking about here? Like give me some examples of those curveball questions.
Well, of course, they'll ask about your experience, your background, all that. But they want to see if you can handle the unexpected. So they might throw something at you like, imagine you have a student who's really struggling, like they're just not getting it. How do you approach that?
Ooh, yeah. That's a good one.
Right. Or, okay, walk me through how you would create like an engaging lesson playing on. And then they'll pick a topic.
I see, I see.
So it's not just about knowing the material. It's about showing them you've got those soft skills too.
Mm-hmm.
The empathy, the problem solving, being able to communicate effectively.
Makes sense. It's like you said earlier, you're not just a walking textbook. You're a guide. You're a mentor to these students, which I bet also plays into RoleCatcher's AI analysis, right?
Ding, ding, ding. We've got a winner.
Yeah, they actually have this mock interview feature, which I think is genius. You record yourself answering practice questions.
Oh, wow.
And their AI gives you feedback, like on your delivery, the content of your answers, even like your body language.
No way.
It's wild. Talk about next level interview prep.
Okay, yeah, I'm convinced. RoleCatcher, it's like having a secret weapon. From building your resume to acing the interview, they've got you covered. But let's bring it back to the human element for a second,
Oh, for sure.
because we've been talking a lot about AI and career strategies and all this stuff. It's easy to forget that being a TA at its core is about actually connecting with people.
100%. I mean, RoleCatcher can give you the tools, the insights, but at the end of the day, it's your passion, your dedication. That's what really resonates with students. Totally. I'm thinking back to some of my favorite TAs, the ones who, like, sparked my curiosity, who made me actually want to learn more about a subject. It wasn't just that they knew their stuff, it was their enthusiasm, that genuine desire to share that love of learning.
Absolutely. And you can feel that. You can feel that passion, whether it's in the classroom, in office hours, or just like how they interact with you as a person. It's about so much more than just, ticking boxes on a syllabus.
Right, right. It's about igniting that spark. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of being a TA, what's like the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this conversation?
Hmm. I'd say a role catcher gives you the map.
Yeah.
But the journey itself is about more than just getting the job. It's about really leaning into that challenge, that privilege of like shaping young minds. It's about nurturing that passion for education and knowing that you can make a real difference, like a tangible difference in your students' lives.
That's such a great point. It's not just a job, it's a chance to be part of something bigger.
Exactly.
Well said. And if this deep dive has like piqued your interest, if you can picture yourself in those shoes, then maybe being a university teaching assistant is the next right step for you. That's all the time we have for today, but keep those questions coming, keep diving deep, and as always, never stop learning.